You're nothing. Meg Trembles as ESPN's Stephen A. Smith burns Sussexes for insulting royal family to get attention. Stephen A. Smith's remarks came after Bill Simmons ripped the couple over their Spotify exit. ESPN pundit Stephen A. Smith touched on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to leave Spotify during an episode of his own podcast following Bill Simmons, who torched the two last week. Harry and Meghan inked the deal with Spotify in 2020. It was presented as a multi-year partnership with Spotify, specifically to create podcasts and shows that would tell stories through diverse voices and perspectives. The couple produced one podcast called Archetypes. The podcast, which Meghan hosted, debuted in August 2022 and totaled 12 episodes. Last week, the couple and Spotify announced the decision to part ways. It led Simmons to call them effing grifters. The Stephen A. Smith Show host made clear on his show he wasn't really interested in the royal family. Smith said Princess Diana seemed like a very, very nice lady, and Queen Elizabeth's legacy looks different through the eyes of a black person. Smith played Simmons' reaction to the exit and then made an interesting comment about the people. If Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex are not complaining about the royal family, I don't know if anyone cares what they have to say, Smith said. I'm not trying to dog Meghan Markle like she doesn't have any talent. I did like Suits. It's a damn good show. Matter of fact, I'm going to watch it again. I love that show. But what I'm saying is, you don't really care what they have to say unless they're insulting their family. Simmons, the CEO of The Ringer, whose podcasts are housed on Spotify, spoke of the breakup last week and alluded to an incident he had with Harry on Zoom when they apparently brainstormed ideas. Simmons has a history of ripping Harry, even when they were both part of the same company. In January, he unleashed on the prince, saying he was so embarrassed he had to share Spotify with him. Shoot this guy to the sun. I'm so tired of this guy. What does he bring to the table? He just whines about shit and keeps giving interviews. Who cares about your life? You weren't even the favorite son. I can't stand him. Spotify's head of podcast innovation and monetization has called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex grifters after their $20 million podcast deal with the streaming giant came to an end after just one season. The Ringer Podcast Network founder, Bill Simmons, who sold the network to Spotify for $200 million, criticized Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on his own podcast following the announcement. The split was confirmed last week in a joint statement from Markle Audio, the couple's content creation label, and Spotify, which said they had mutually agreed to part ways and were proud of the series they made together. Spotify confirmed it was not renewing Meghan's podcast Archetypes, which ran for 12 episodes from August 2022 for a second series. I wish I had been involved in the Meghan and Harry leave Spotify negotiation, the fucking grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them, Simmons said on his podcast, the Bill Simmons Podcast. I have to get drunk one night and tell the story of the Zoom I had with Harry to try and help him with the podcast idea. It's one of my best stories. In the series, the Duchess chatted to celebrities, historians, and experts about the history of the often harmful stereotypes that women face. Tennis star Serena Williams, singer Mariah Carey, Paris Hilton, and actress Mindy Kaling were amongst the guests.